We are doing 10 days of home care. So I'm certainly excited for that. It's 10 days of home care. Today's day 5. So today we're talking about creating a business plan for your home care agency. So today we are talking about creating a solid business plan for your non-medical home care agency. I love a business plan. My mind works a little bit differently. I love doing the research aspect of it, and I love the things you find out. I love the discovery that takes place as you create your business plan. But ultimately, it does serve as a roadmap for success. It will guide your operations, finance, and your growth strategy. I say this a lot on my channel. A lot of the questions that I get, how do I find my first client? What should a good marketing plan look like? Those types of questions are answered through you doing an effective business plan. So it's important because it provides a clear vision and direction for your agency. It helps secure funding from investors or lenders. So a lot of times, especially if you go to like some of the small business associations and get a loan with them, or sometimes through your financial institutions, you'll get a loan. They want to see your business plan. Because again, their whole job is to determine the risk. So they're trying to understand what's the likelihood you will pay that loan back if you get into a lending situation. So you want to make sure you have a thorough business plan in order to ensure that, your investors or anyone who would be in a position to lend can see your vision and really can see your business. Okay. You want to establish goals and strategies for growth. And then, of course, you want to ensure compliance with regulations and our industry standards. So the key components of a business plan, definitely and we're going to go through each one of these areas, but definitely the executive summary, your company description, market analysis, which is so important, your services offered, marketing and sales strategy, organizational structure, financial planning, and then your timeline. Now, I will tell you when I did my business plan, when I did the implementation timeline, I actually just took those pages and had that hung up on my computer. So I kind of dovetailed that and worked backwards to say, okay, in order to meet this timeline, these are the certain activities that go into making that timeline come alive. So I just suggest that with you. I know some of my coaching clients, I have helped people put together timelines so that they can see realistically how they can, get to actually becoming owners of their agency. So I think it's so powerful to see the how when you have a goal such as starting your non-medical home care agency. Okay. So the first is the executive summary. So this is an overview of your agency's mission, vision, and goals. So this is a snapshot into who you are. What does your agency stand for? Some key points are, what services do you offer? Who is your target market? And then, of course, your competitive advantages. Definitely, this is a point where you want to keep it concise and compelling. So this is what potential investors or partners will read first, right? So this is them getting an opportunity to understand who you are, right? As an investment, because remember, they're investors, right? The company description is, what does your home care agency do? And why does it exist? So a lot of us have personal stories that are tied up into our home care agencies. I will tell you, I've shared this before, I'll share it today. My first home care agency that I had was called Pristine in Home Care. And the reason why I said pristine was my mom, and this is how long ago this was, she found her caregiver at the time. She was just exhausting herself taking care of my stepfather. And so she went to what are those? Oh, Penny Saver. Do you all remember the Penny Saver? She went to the Penny Saver and found her a caregiver. And can I tell you, this woman was excellent. Excellent. She was pristine. And so that's where I got Pristine in Home Care from, is I just remembered the quality of care that she gave. Not to make the story too long, but we ended up hiring her to take care of my stepfather. Well, my mom ended up falling ill, And she ended up staying on board to help me take care of both of them. And so I really wish I still had her contact information. She really helped me to understand this was an industry that I want to be a part of. So you want to be able to explain what's your reason and why does your home care agency exist? Okay. So you want to define your mission statement and core values, and then describe your agency's legal structure. I like to say, how did you stand up your business, right? And then outline your short-term and long-term business objectives. So, short-term, maybe your short-term is, hey, I'm just trying to get licensed at this point. I'm focusing all of my energy on getting licensed. The long-term, maybe you want to expand your services or expand where you operate. So really just making sure you're looking at the whole picture, looking at your agency as a whole picture. Okay. Let's talk about market analysis. Now, this is really important because this is where you get to kind of research and present data on the demand for home care services in your area. So you really get to, for yourself, you get to see, wow, is this an industry that's growing? And I can tell you it is. But what does your research say about that? Why is it growing? What areas is it growing in? What does that segment of population need? So it's really getting a bird's eye view into your clients that you hope to serve. Okay. So now after that, once you understand the industry as a whole, you can hone in and identify, well, this is the target market that I want to serve. So some examples of that are seniors, individuals with disabilities, post-surgery patients, right? So it's really helping you define who your target market is. And then analyze your competitors. Who are they? What services do they offer? And then how can you differentiate your agency? You've heard me talk about that a lot. Differentiation is really important. And so just the quick definition of that is, that there are 5 other home care agencies that are close to you or in close proximity of you. What do you do differently? Okay. And then discuss those industry trends and growth potential. Right? So you're making this person see why you're a good person to invest in, or you're a good person to lend funds to. Okay? So services offered, I won't spend a lot of time on here, but you definitely want to define what you will be offering, and then ensure your services align with the client's needs and market demand. So you don't want to spend a lot of time creating and supporting services that your particular clients aren't even asking you for. So that's where your research comes in. You want to know what your clients specifically are looking for, and then create a suite of services around that. Okay. So marketing and sales, this is a big, big portion of your agency. As an agency owner, it will be your mission to start your agency, grow it, and scale it. Okay. But that growth, scaling your agency, that falls on you. Okay. So you want to outline how you plan to attract clients and grow your business. Now, something that I want to say here, because I have had quite a few conversations over the years about marketing. And the one thing that I want to say about this is it's not going to be, hey, I tried this once and it didn't work. Or, I tried this particular method and it didn't work for me. You are constantly going to have to be putting together a strategy and then revising it, implementing different approaches to really understand what works for you. And every day you should be doing something to market your business. Okay. Something that I've done with some of my coaching calls is really just, let's put your day together. Let's look at your whole day and decide how you're going to make sure that some of your day is spent marketing. You got to make sure people know that you're out there. Okay. So key marketing channels, definitely your website, social media. The one thing I want to say about social media, because I think at this point, most of us we're on social media. We have our channels. I have shared with you. For me, I feel like that's 2 avenues is pretty good. You don't want to do too many because you can exhaust yourself. And until you're able to find someone who can assist you, if that's what you end up doing. Some people love to do their own social media, which is great, which is wonderful. You want to make sure that you can hone in onto, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, like just find a couple of ways that you can promote yourself and your services and then go from there. The second piece of that is to make sure that what you're doing is unique to you and really hold your voice, right? So I think pretty quickly, if you look at people's Instagram accounts, you can kind of see the cookie cutter things that we all do, right? Like sometimes we're just trying to get information out there, but you can still take that information and make it unique to your brand. So just don't forget, even though it's a home care agency and you offer home care services, you still can make it unique to you and you can still find your voice within that. So I just wanted to kind of share that a little bit. This is really important to network with hospitals, senior centers, and healthcare providers. Okay, you really want to try to build those partnerships out the gate. Referral programs with satisfied clients and caregivers. Remember, start with that inner circle first and then work your way out. Okay, and then community engagement and local advertising. Don't underestimate the power of community engagement. Okay, it could really, really work for you. And so you want to develop a strategy you want to develop a strategy for converting leads into paying clients. Okay. So that last point that we talked about with converting those leads into paying clients, if you find yourself in a situation to where you're finally getting that traffic into your agency, so people are calling, people are making inquiries, and you're not converting them into clients, you got to take a step and see why. Because a lot of times the initial issue is, oh my gosh, people don't know about me. I need to market outwards. So, but if you are marketing and people are calling you, you got to kind of pull it in for a moment and really understand, wait a minute, so why are people calling me but they're not going with me? So that could be surveys, that could be phone calls, that could be, we can certainly have a session so we can kind of discuss what's going on. Maybe there's something in the process that is really turning or not preventing people from going with you. Okay, so I wanted to kind of hone in on that too. Your organizational structure, so you're going to define the roles and responsibilities within your agency. Not everybody's is going to look like this, but usually there's an owner or an administrator, right? There's typically an office manager, some type of care coordinator, caregivers, and then your marketing and sales team. Now remember, when you initially start, you're going to be real lean. So you're not going to have a lot of these positions that I just said. But as you grow out, I always tell people, what is the part that you either enjoy least or, you spend a lot of time doing that's not really going into your main objective, which is growing the agency, right? So if for you, that's making phone calls, that's kind of putting on marketing, maybe you need an office manager, right? So it's deciding what you can kind of have someone else do so that you can focus on the main thing. Okay, so you got to first identify what your main thing is and then see who can help you with the rest. All right. So you want to specify hiring and training processes for caregivers, and then definitely establish leadership strategies to foster a positive work environment. I think that was day 3 this week when we talked about that. Goes directly into culture, making sure that your work environment is a positive one. Let me take a note and see. Hi, Jess Monet. How are you? Okay, and then I'm so sorry if I'm saying this right, but Happy, hopefully I'm saying that right. Happy says, good afternoon. I would like to open an agency in Manhattan, but I have a tight budget. So actually, Happy, I'm so glad that you're here today. Definitely you want to come in to Monday's presentation. Monday, we are specifically talking about agency startup costs. Okay, so we'll be kind of talking through that, but then more importantly, I think where you're coming from is, so how do we fund that? There's still ways that you could be creative and fund your startup costs if you don't necessarily have that cash to put into that. Okay, so we'll talk about that more on Monday. You'll definitely want to come back for that. Thank you for your honesty. Yeah, I think that's, and again, this is kind of why we're talking about this, right? I think creating that business plan, when you're doing that business plan, and we'll talk about that when we get to the financial part, which, let me see, are we there yet? Yes. So Abby, this slide is for you, okay? So once you understand what your startup costs are, so your licensing, all of your fees, your office space, if that's needed, remember that's going to depend on your state, your insurance, your payroll for initial staff, and then of course marketing. You want to estimate, okay, so when are those funds coming in, right? So you can kind of build that out for the first to 3 years. But as you estimate what revenues should be coming in, you have to identify, well, what are those funding sources that I'm going to use to start up my agency? Is that loans? Is that grants? Personal savings? We talked about investors a moment ago, right? So you're really going to have to determine where are those funds coming from. Now, for me, my situation was a little bit different only because at that time that I started my home care agency, I was expecting funds to come in. And so I think I've shared with you on this channel before, what I did do was kind of take some money out of my credit cards because I knew I would be paying that back. Now, I would never tell anybody to go into debt ever, right? I knew I had monies. It was certain that money was coming in so I could cover that debt. Okay. But we'll talk about that more on Monday. And I think, so we'll talk about the costs on Monday, but I think sometime next week we have a day that we talk about just funding. But Happy, definitely, I would encourage you to reach out to me on the side so we can kind of talk through that, because a lot of people's financial situations are different. Okay. But I will say this, where there's a will, there's a way. And so sometimes it's really just about understanding what you can do with what you have. Okay. And then of course you want to include pricing strategies for your services. All right. So we talked about this at the beginning, the implementation timeline. So do not forget, I have a checklist, and I believe that's placed in this video also. I have a checklist that can help a lot of you, because if you use, so what I did, I think I shared with you earlier, I created my own timeline of what I expected to happen. From that, I created a checklist of things I had to do in order to make that happen. So that is the personal checklist that I created. You all can download that, and that is free of charge. Okay, so make sure you download that. But maybe let's say we're giving ourselves a timeline of at least 6 months. This is an example. Month 1 to 2, maybe you're registering your business, you're working on licensing and that compliance setup. Now, depending on your state, the licensing itself can take 3 to 6 months, right? So you definitely want to do that first, because as you're waiting, month 3 to 4, you could be talking about staff and caregiver training. Now, remember, you don't want to put the cart before the horse, right? So you're not hiring anyone at this point, not until you actually are licensed, because remember, we can't operate without a license. But remember, earlier this week, I talked to you about creating that pipeline and communicating with your caregivers. Hey, we are a new up-and-coming agency. I am starting this process so I can ensure that I'm getting you all funneled through the process. So as I'm licensed, as I get clients, I have those caregivers ready to go. Okay. So, if you didn't catch that one, go back and check that one. I gave you a lot of good morsels on that and how to manage that process. Okay. But then your marketing, right? Month 5 and 6, you're marketing. You're reaching out to your potential clients. You're getting in your community. You're pounding the pavement, making sure that you're getting your name and your agency out there. Okay. After that, now month 6 and moving forward, hopefully we're licensed at that point, right? Now we're focusing on growing. Okay. And as you grow and as you have clients, okay, I should be expanding my services or expanding my reach. Okay. So this is just an example of a timeline, but take out what I have here and put in what's specific to you, what's unique to your situation. Okay. And again, that's something that if you need assistance with, reach out to me. But I think for those of us who are visual, I'm extremely visual. I had to have the checklist and I had to have the timeline to keep myself structured. Because for me, I wanted to every day, okay, what am I working on today? What am I doing today to get myself closer to what I wanted? Okay. So, wrapping this kind of up, a well-structured business plan sets the foundation for your successful home care agency. Really take the time. I know not all of us like to research, but you really want to take the time to research for an understanding, okay? But this will help you plan and execute everything carefully. And then really ask yourself at the end of this call, in order to make this worth your time, what steps can you take today to start building your business plan? When I did my business plan, I didn't do it in a day. It took a few months, to be honest, because this was a business that I went into with my husband, and even for him to agree for us to invest in our business, he wanted a business plan. And quite honestly, I understood where he was coming from with that. And I was happy he said that. Once I did that research, once I really understood the analysis behind this industry and what the trends were, I think it made me more interested in wanting to go into this industry. Okay, but you won't know if you don't do the research. I do have a business plan course, so you should be able to see that on my website. So in that, I make sure to kind of break down more each area of your business, of the business plan, but I also give you a template that you can use, and it's editable. So that way you can make it, customizable to what you need. Okay. And then again, this is something new. We are launching a community, and this is really to ensure that you all are receiving support outside of the videos, outside of the consultations and the licensing courses. This is a way for us to come to get together and get continued support. So take a look at that. When I post the video, you'll be able to look and see what the community offers. And of course, you can always email me and reach out to me on Instagram at Simply Fujica. Okay. Let me go back over to the chat. I would like to create my policies and procedures, but I found it hard and it's very expensive to hire someone. So I think, did we talk about policies and procedures yesterday? So if you don't mind, please email me, and let me see, I could put it in the chat. Let me do that. I'm going to put my email in the chat. I've done a couple of videos to help you with that. So if you actually attended yesterday's session, we talk about policies and procedures, and I really try to break it down. But you can email me too, because I want to give you, I've done a couple of videos on that specific topic, because I know when people have challenges with policies and procedures, it's really about putting everything, all the information together. Your state is going to help you out with 50% of it, because it's really what are the guidelines that your state is saying you have to have in your policies and procedures. The other portion of it is really specific to your agency, right? So it's what you want your caregivers to know. So there's going to be employee practices, right? There's going to be client services processes that you're talking about, how you service your clients. So it's really about just putting all that information in a structured way. Okay. So I hope that's helpful, but definitely send an email to me, and then over the weekend, I'll be sure to respond to that. For everyone else, I just want to thank you for your time and attention. I know there's other things you could be doing on your Friday, but I'm super excited that you spent some time with me. So don't forget to come back on Monday where we talk about agency startup costs. Okay. So I am wishing you all a blessed Friday, and I hope you have a relaxing weekend. You all do not forget to like this video. I haven't been saying this. Don't forget to subscribe and share this information with other people who are going through their home care agency journeys. Okay? You all have a beautiful day. Stay blessed.